really means. And I am going to stream this to YouTube. Let me see while everybody gets situated. Please let us know. Okay. So here we go. Let's see. Are we means? Okay. All right. So we are live on YouTube. Okay. Have that up. And I want to say, oh, hello. Look at everybody. Okay. In here, we have everybody shouting out. We got Tammy in Georgia. Hello. I'm in Georgia now. So what's up? Georgia, Patrice from New Jersey, all over the place. Hello and welcome to Aquila. Aquila, hey, from Savannah. Yes. We got Tashe from Louisville. And we got another Atlanta, hot Atlanta in the house. That's what's up. I have been loving Atlanta. Really, really enjoying myself. Tamara from South Carolina, Kakalaki. Brooklyn's in the house. Go ahead, Linda. I knew you'd be here. Brooklyn in the house. Angelina, yes, thank you for asking about what book we're reading. Oh, wait, I lost my page. We are reading Chapter 8 of How to Be an Adult in Relationships is the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Rico. And my nails need to be done. It's all jacked up. Sorry, don't be trolling me. Don't be talking about how bad I am. I'm a busy mama, y'all. Very, very busy. So I haven't had a chance for self-care. But believe me, I'm going to do self-care this week. Anyway, we got Faith from Maryland. That's what's happening. Yes, we are at the end of a great book. Rhonda, you're so right. I'm grieving. It's like, I feel like there should be more to this book because he really is spelling out how we need to be treating each other and how we need to treat people in our households. And that's very interesting, Rhonda, because when I was kind of rummaging through the beginnings of chapter 8, that is what he's talking about in this book. Like how you treat people in your inner circle is a reflection of how you see the wider world. And so we're going to connect the dots a little later on today. But yeah, Rhonda, you really are spot on. And I know he has another book out. So maybe how to find soulful allies. I don't know. I kind of want to like shift gears, but we'll see what our next book will be. But let's enjoy today. Hey, B from Atlanta. We got a lot of people from Atlanta. We got Zonda from Baltimore. Hey, what's up, Indiana? Indiana from Chicago. That's what's up. I'm from Gary, Indiana. So it's just like being from Chicago, but we have the same. I don't know. Gary, Indiana is closer to Chicago than it is to Indianapolis. So I had more of affinity in northwestern part of Indiana to adhere to Chicago ways. So you're kind of like our sister over there. Tammy from Ohio. Oh my God, we got people from all over Connecticut, Joy, and we got Eartha always coming in from Houston. Durham, North Carolina, Tyann. Oh my gosh, we got Mark from Atlanta. All the people from Atlanta, how y'all doing? Y'all gonna come see us at the All Black National Convention? And it's gonna be really unique this year. I was talking to my husband about the convention, and I said I really like that it's gonna be a little different because I feel like y'all need to have a little bit of a different experience. So I'm real excited, very, very much looking forward to this convention. Is next week. No, it's this week starting. Oh my goodness. It's coming up so fast. But anyway, it's this week, and I think it's just so wonderful. I'm excited. I'm so ready for the ball on Saturday night. I got to get my dress together and have fun, just relax and have fun with a bunch of like-minded individuals. So this is going to be historic. I think this is going to be a historic time. Anyway, it's all sold out. According to my husband, he told me no more tickets. It's sold out, but that's okay. Next year, when we have our convention again next year, I want to see all y'all at that convention. We're going to have our healing haven together. Anyway, let me continue. Tina from Connecticut. Oh my God, we got somebody from Denver. We got the West Coast chiming in. Tina from No, Tia from Connecticut and Tina from Denver. Awesome. We got the DMV in the house with Etna. We got Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Jay, I just dropped my daughter off at Tuskegee, and I was born right there on that campus. I was born on the campus of Tuskegee, Alabama, at the John Andrews Hospital. It's a ground zero of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. That's interesting. So, fascinating to talk to my daughter for a long time today. She is so tired, but tired in a good way. She is doing really wonderful in college. So I have high hopes for her, and I'm just excited that she's able to carry on the legacy in my household of Tuskegee. So this is pretty amazing. Anyway, in case y'all know, my dad taught at Tuskegee for like 30 some odd years. I don't know. So I have roots there. So it's been great going back and connecting with some of my old family members in Tuskegee. Anyway, let's move on. We got everybody chiming in here. We got Nicole from NYC. I see you, Nicole. My daughter's name is Nicole. So that's beautiful. We got Karen from Atlanta. We got all sorts of Atlanta people in the house. I want to see y'all at the convention. Kathy from Florida. That's what's up. Oh my gosh. This list is ongoing. I see everybody in here. Oh my gosh. I have to chime in a little later. We got to you got your ticket, Esther? Esther Matthews. Got your ticket. You come and say hi to me. I will be there. I'll be at my booth. I got a booth, y'all. So I'll be selling wonderful products, all my books. Y'all, I got candles, I got lotions, I got all healing ingredients that I'm debuting at the convention. I am like really excited. My cousin gonna come down. She's gonna help me at the table. And I think it's so great. So I want everybody to just see me. I want everybody to see me. Yes, Nicole is a beautiful name. I love that name, Nicole. Natalie from Jacksonville, Florida. That's what's up. We're on the South Side. So anyway, I just want to welcome everybody here. I'm so happy that you're in part of our group, the Healing Haven Book Club. It's totally free. So all of you all who are here in the Zoom, thank you. You must have text LOVE to 87948 at one point or another. And that's why you're in here free of charge and y'all get shout outs. Just to let you know, people who are here in Zoom, if you have any questions, relationship questions, anything on your mind, feel free to put your questions in and I will be sure to answer it. And you could be asking a relationship question, but you could be asking for a friend. It doesn't have to be you, but make sure that you be sure to engage with us on Zoom. Now, hey, everybody on YouTube, how you doing, YouTube? Y'all on YouTube, be sure to text love, LOVE to 87948 so you can come in and get shouted out like Nicole and Lori. Hey, Lori, how you doing? Welcome. Look at all these individuals. Okay, I see y'all in here. I can't get distracted, but I'm glad everybody is with us tonight. And we're just part of this growing community of people who's just dedicated to figuring out how we can heal not only ourselves, but each other and thus the world, how we can heal when we start loving ourselves and each other in an individual way, in a way that's mindful. And David Rico has laid out the 5 keys to mindful loving. In case y'all want to know, this is the book. Who asked about it? Mr. Chavez, Tyann Chavez. That's a lady's name, I guess. This is the name of the book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by fellow social worker David Rico. I don't know, do y'all know who I am? Maybe I should introduce myself. My name is Dr. Alicia Watkins, and I have been studying human behavior, oh my God, for almost 30 some odd years. I've been very, very interested in this. I've been a licensed therapist for 22 years, and I was 7 months pregnant with my son. He's 22 when I took my licensing exam. Oh my goodness. And so I have been working as a therapist in Chicago and it kept my license going in Illinois. Took some time away to get my PhD. Took me 5 years to do it. Oh my God, it was not easy, but that's okay. I learned all the skills to become a college professor. So not only am I a therapist part-time, my full-time job, y'all, is teaching. So I teach in the master's program in my home institution in social work, and I really love it. The semester starts in my home institution tomorrow. So tomorrow is the first day of classes, and I got everything set up for all the students to go on and start learning. These are students who are going to be future social workers. So I wanted to take some time. I do want to dive in a little bit into our book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Richo. We are reading this version. So we're reading the paper version. Now, y'all know I have the audiobook. I also have the Kindle version. And in the Kindle, it's a little different. Chapter 8 is about commitment for a lot of people. But for some of you guys, like the let's see, the audiobook version, chapter 8 in the audiobook version focuses on when relationships end. So I just wanted to let you know that that it's a little bit different, but I'm reading from the paper copy. So I think he updated the book a little bit for the digital copy. So just making sure that you guys, sometimes the chapters don't line up, but this is the one instance in where the chapters may not line up. But we are talking about our commitment and how it deepens. So whether it's chapter 8 or chapter 9 on your end, this is where we're going. And so it's the same content. And I really think this is kind of fascinating because they're talking about commitment. He doesn't even mention commitment at all through chapters 1 through 7. He doesn't even mention commitment. So I think it's really fascinating that he is at this point talking about commitment. And I think commitment is really one of the most challenging and misunderstood aspects of relationships. And for many of us, we think that commitment means we're losing our freedom, but I don't think I think commitment is freedom. Committing to one person can free you up to love authentically. And this is what David Richo is talking about. Real commitments deepens our sense of freedom. It builds trust. I mean, how much freedom do you have with another person when you're committed to them and you have built this trust? That's free. Nothing is more binding than being in a relationship where you don't trust each other. So this is really the great foundation of love for me. Your ability to commit to something and to someone, romantic partnerships, families, relationships, is really about having the courage to be consistent and to show up for the people who are important to you. And yes, Cheryl, it's How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Richo. We are all the way on chapter 8. And if you want to get the recordings of chapter 1 through 7, all the way through 7, if you want to get the past recordings, and if you want an opportunity to, I will look at if you're part of the inner circle, I will look at your journal entries. So you can submit your journal entries to me. And if you're part of the inner circle, I will look at that. And then you also have a voice of choosing the next book that we are going to review. You can go ahead and join my inner circle. I do want to, let me see if I can find the link. Oh, I got to have the link here. I do have some sales going on right now to join the inner circle. Let's see, let me post it so everyone can see. It is draliciabookclub.com/inner circle. That's the website if you want to get the recordings. So if you enjoy everything today, all first comers, if this is your first time joining us and you've been contemplating, you can, here's the book. Here's the book, Velma. And this is the book that we've been covering. And it's the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. I go into it. There's some bonus material in there too, if you join the inner circle. And I got some, actually I have 2 sales going on right now. Actually, you probably could combine them. If you type in the code word mindful, let me put this in here. We have some discount codes. If you put in mindful, you get the first month free. And so you'll be able to see, get into some of the material. You have a month, 30 days to get into some of the material. And if it's something that's really, you feel like meaningful to you and you want to continue with us, you can type in mindful to get the first month free, and you can get a discount 20% off each month if you type in growth. So growth and mindful, I put them in there, 2 discount codes that is available to you off your membership for the monthly membership. And I will look over your journals. You have an opportunity to vote on the next book. I love this kind of stuff. It's going to be around healing. It's going to be surrounding how all of us can grow. It'll be a book with that criteria, but it'll be a fantastic book. This book here is a hard book to follow up because he is really breaking it down. So anyway, let's see. So how about you guys, everybody in the chat, when you hear the word commitment, now I told you about what commitment means to me. To me, commitment means deepening freedom, being able to trust, because commitment and trust go hand in hand. But what comes up for you guys? Somebody in the chat, type in what emotions, what feelings come up for you when you hear the word commitment. Does it feel scary? Does it feel hopeful? Anything else? Oh, this is so good. Responsibility. Yes, trust. Trust and commitment means so much. I love this. Loyalty. You want to be with somebody that's going to be loyal to you. Why commit yourself to someone who's not committed to you? It's a two-way street, right? Responsibility, obligation. That's an interesting word, obligation. I got thoughts about that word, feeling obligated. Okay. A deeper relationship. Boxed in, Deborah. I love Deborah. Deborah always is the one. What do you mean boxed in? Say more about boxed in. Commitment means boxed in. That's interesting. So you make a commitment to do something, and that means that you have to follow through on your commitment to do something. Your word has to be something that's meaningful. So you have to have meaning in your word. And maybe that feels boxed in. I'd like for Deborah to talk about that. Security. So for Linda, commitment means security, feeling safe and secure. There's something serious about commitment. Commitment ain't for playing around. Like you make a commitment to something and to somebody, then we ain't playing games no more. It's about real adult loving. That's interesting. So Joy says to make rare, but safe connection with another person. Rare. I like that, Joy, because you can't commit to everything and everybody. You have to be a unique person. Like, who are you going to be if you're making a commitment to all these other people? You can't do that. You have to pick and choose who and what you make your commitment to. So it can't be everybody. It's got to be a rare thing. And you have to be careful who you commit to. I love that. Okay, we got safety going on. We got security, safety and love. Yes, I love all of this. Being loyal to somebody, that's very important. Oh, God. Yeah. So you got to make a commitment to God. I love this kind of spiritual component. That's interesting. I love it. Dedication, compassion, suffocating. Tina's like, commitment is suffocating. Oh my God. That's interesting. So sometimes commitment brings up freedom for some people, but for others, sometimes commitment does not bring up freedom. So let's see, Tina, I don't know if you were around, but we did an entire chapter. Do y'all remember what chapter we did? Let me look. It was an entire chapter about fear of commitment, but he doesn't call it that. He calls it when fears rush in. I think that's what it is. When conflict, yeah. So he talks about when fears rush in and danger too. So sometimes commitment, Tina, can feel suffocating. And he talks about engulfment and abandonment. So sometimes you feel overwhelmed by the responsibility of a committed relationship, and it can make you feel confined and boxed in. And so chapter 6, if y'all get this book, the paper copy of the book, chapter 6 in this book talks all about, Tina, suffocation, feeling engulfed. overwhelmed by the idea of commitment. So I'm glad you brought that up because he addresses that in that chapter. Oh my God, we got so many comments here. A promise, integrity. Y'all are kind of feeling it. All right. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. Staying in the moment, trusting yourself. Commitment is led by true love. Oh my gosh, Lori. Yes, I get this. Appreciation is real love. All of this. Thank you so much. This is really great. Yeah, so we have an idea of what comes up for us when we talk about commitment. And I think it's such a to me, it's just tender. It's just a very tender thing to be able to commit to somebody. And I agree with a lot of you guys. Everything that I saw, even sometimes it being limiting, sometimes you commit yourself to something, you have to limit how far you can go in other areas, staying the course, being with a special person, that one special person. Very fascinating. After many, many years, you ain't sure, Carol? Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. So, just as David Rico does in a lot of ways, he opens up the chapter with a quote. So, let's see what his quote is saying. So, he says, oh, how can I love you more? So, for all of you, we're on chapter 8, page 221. And he is opening this whole chapter on commitment, saying, how can I love you more? Dang, if somebody said that to me, if my husband said that to me, hey, Alicia, I want to know how I can love you more. I know he's committed to me. That's a commitment to love. Okay. And then Laura Huxley's husband, which I had to look up because I didn't know Laura Huxley. Like the only famous person I know named Huxley is the author of this book, Brave New World. His last name was Huxley. And sure enough, that was the wife of Huxley. She says that was her husband's last question to her as he was dying. From her book, This Timeless Moment. Oh my goodness. I read that. I almost wanted to tear up. I thought that was the sweetest thing. I thought that was sweet. Here is, and I looked up, I didn't know how Huxley died, but he had I think he had some form of cancer. He was dying on his deathbed of cancer, and he's looking at his wife and he's asking his wife, how can I love you more? On his deathbed. What do y'all think of that? Boy, oh boy, talk about commitment to your last breath, giving commitment to another person. I don't know. That's true love right there. How can I love you more? It's like he's on his way out and he's not thinking about probably the pain that he's in. He's not thinking about where he's going in the afterlife. He's not afraid. He's not worried about anything. His question in his mind is looking at his wife, trying to figure out, I have a limited amount of time left on this earth, and I want to know how I can love you more. I think that is so profound. He's not asking, oh my goodness, now that I'm thinking about it, he's not asking the question that many people ask when they come to see me in therapy trying to fix their partner. He's not asking those questions. He's not saying, I want to know how this person can love me more. That's usually what I see when I see couples in a nutshell. When I see couples and I work with couples, usually they're like, can you fix my partner? Can you help my partner understand how to love me? I have yet to have somebody come into my office and say, Dr. Alicia, I want to know how to love my partner better. What can I do to love them better? And we got Kendall. Thank you, Kendall Green. We always got people who are able to look it up online and find out what happened to him. In 1960, oh my goodness, he was diagnosed with oral cancer. Oh my gosh. And for the last 3 years, his health steadily declined. Thank you for looking that up. Oh my goodness. Oof, that's painful. That's a painful disease to to live with. And in that moment, he is talking about how he can love his wife more. His body is failing, but his mind and his heart is fixated on love. How can I love you more? Oh boy, he wasn't asking how she could love him. Hmm. Wow, his commitment grew. Wow. Wow. I think it's an invitation for all of us. Instead of asking, you don't love me enough, what am I getting out of this relationship? Maybe we all can start asking, how can I love my children more? How can I love my parents more? How can I love my partner more? Maybe we need to start reframing some of this, especially last chapter. Y'all, if y'all missed chapter 7 was deep. Chapter 7 was about the ego getting in the way. So I think this is really fascinating. So let's read. We ain't even got off the first page here, and already it's some deep stuff. So let me bring my, I got my orb here. Let me bring my orb over here so I can see and read some of the material. I feel like I'm glowing in front of you guys. Okay. So we are on page 221, and I have not even started the content. And here we are with some deep stuff. Okay. By coming home, oh, he's talking about home. The heroine of a heroic journey shows she has attained a higher consciousness than she had when she began. She began this journey and she's come home now with a higher consciousness. Okay, a higher consciousness, both about herself and the world. How is this related to commitment in a relationship? How is that related? That's very interesting. Okay, so they're saying that coming home in this case is a metaphor for realizing that all we need is within us and within the hearts of those around us. Feeling the need for a relationship is thus a homing instinct, one consistent with the intent of the universe. Consistent with the intent of the universe. So coming home in this case is a metaphor for realizing that all we need is within us and within the hearts of those around us. So they're saying that the purpose of going outside of your home, journeying, I just dropped my daughter off at college. It is for ultimately her own growth. Hopefully she's going to be exposed to people who are different from her. She's going to learn about herself more because she is in an atmosphere where she is going out, going away from home. She couldn't stay home anymore. I just looked at her. She needed to go out and explore life so that she can learn about herself. In the culminating phase of a relationship, our love is not limited to one person, but reaches out to the outer world. We can attain universal compassion through the experience of loving one person. How does that make sense? We love one person helps us to understand the universe. What is that? Let's read on. How? By commitment. So how is it that we, culminating phase of relationship, our love is not limited to one person, but reaches out to the entire world. Okay, our love is not limited to one person, but reaches out to the entire world. We can attain universal compassion through the experience of loving one person. That sounds like a paradox. How can you do that? How can you love one person and then show love to the entire universe? What is that? He's saying commitment. Commitment is how we do it. I didn't see anybody giving that. I didn't see anybody giving that definition of commitment. The macro and the micro. Yes, Dennis. Dennis is on to something. By commitment, he's saying by giving and receiving the 5 A's. Wait, who put in here the 5 A's? All of you all who are just joining us, you're going to have to go back and get the recordings because I'm not going over what the 5 A's mean. But I saw somebody put in here all of the 5 A's. The 5 A's involves attention, giving each other attention, giving and receiving attention, affection, appreciation, acceptance, and allowance. Those are the 5 A's. And I am not going to go into them because there's tons of videos and recordings about what that means. But that's the 5 A's. So he's saying the commitment is the commitment to give each other the 5 A's. Wow. Working problems out. Where are we working problems out? How we work out problems? What chapter was that? Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is all about how to work out. You want to know how to work out problems in your relationship? Read chapter 5. If you want to know what it means, join the inner circle and I'll break it all down in chapter 5. It was a long chapter, another long chapter. It took us a while to get through that because conflict is really something. How to deal with conflict. So learning the 5 A's, learning how to deal with conflict is number 2. And then number 3 is keeping agreements. Keeping your agreements. That's how you build trust. That's the commitment, is keeping our agreements. Doing all this within our immediate partnership softens us to the point where we can do it with others. Let me repeat that again because I think that was really telling. So by giving and receiving the 5 A's, thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda put it in the chat. Giving and receiving the 5 A's, attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. By giving and receiving the 5 A's, by working out our problems, really problems all derive from not receiving the 5 A's or feeling like you're not getting enough of something in the problem. That's essentially, you scrape the butter off the toast. That's really what bring up conflicts in relationships, right? Do you really love me like you said you will? You know, those are questions that can spark conflict. And then 3rd is keeping our agreements. You got to have trust. I have to know that if my husband makes a promise to me and we agree to something, I have to know that he will follow through with that, or I'm going to be like, what's going on here? What happened? Why weren't you following through with what you said you would follow through? And he follows through a lot. So I don't have that particular problem. Thank goodness we don't have that problem. Okay. So doing all this within our immediate partnership softens us to the point where we can do it with others. Success in this relationship. So success in your interpersonal relationship. That's what he's saying. Makes us believe it is possible everywhere. There's data to support this. So I'm always reading. I love science. There is a science to healthy relationships. And a lot of us don't know that science, but there is science to healthy relationships. And part of that science is when you feel like you're in a healthy relationship with your significant other, you actually go out into the world emanating that you are capable in all the areas of your life because you are successful in your interpersonal relationship. There's science behind that. People actually make more money. They are just healthier in general when their interpersonal relationships look good. Okay. The obstacle in our life becomes bridges. So any obstacles in our life become bridges to growth because we're able to grow in our personal relationships. I think this is really interesting. I was talking to my husband recently about this, and we were talking about like getting into agreements and business deals with people. And one thing, that became apparent is that the quality of your closest relationships, it sets the tone for the rest of your life. So when you're showing respect, kindness, and genuine care in your intimate partnerships, that builds this confidence that ripples outward. And if you can't get along with your partner and your spouse, and it's chaotic and cheating is happening and disrespect and all of that, how do you want to get into a business deal with somebody and they can't manage things at home? So, I mean, it's kind of like, how are they able to navigate? Because are they practicing empathy and patience and good communication in the home? Because that's how we know that they'll be this way in business relationships. So in a way, when you see somebody who is really kind and sensitive to their interpersonal relationships, then you'll see them be that way as business partners. So we're always kind of talking about that. And what he's saying is that the obstacles in our life become bridges. So what he's saying, that obstacles become bridges because our personal relationships teach us what happens when to get along well in your interpersonal relationships. What skills do you need? You need to know about resilience. You need to know about commitment. You need to know about trust. You need to be good at collaboration. So if you're good at all of those areas, of course you're going to be good. Yes, listening, trust, all of those things. Of course you're going to be good in business relationships. So it kind of translates. And if you got dishonesty and somebody is disrespectful to their partner and they're dishonest and they got a lot of drama going on in the interpersonal life, how do you think they're going to be with you? They ain't going to negotiate fairly in a business. They're not going to have integrity in their community if they don't have integrity in their own relationships. So I think that is really kind of important. So anyway, let's move on. So what is he saying? He says, but what exactly happens to us? Okay, what exactly happens in us to open us to the world? What is it that happens in us that opens us to the world? In a committed relationship, we finally let go of our egos, formative insistence on being right, on getting our way, and on competing and winning. So that's the thing. He's saying this is about ego. The ego thrives on being right, having the last word, protecting your pride. That's what the ego in last chapter talked about, how we can let go of that. Because true love and commitment is going to put you in a place where you need to learn how to collaborate. Because people who have big egos, they don't know how to collaborate. You're going to have to be curious about someone. You have to be humble, humility. So when we insist on winning all the time in relationships, what happens? When you insist on winning all the time, what happens? Nobody wins. Everybody loses. The relationship loses. Yes, Karen, good job. Egos destroy a relationship. The relationship loses because intimacy is not a competition. It's about connecting with another person. So letting go of the ego means you're choosing to treat somebody fairly over pride. You're listening instead of arguing with somebody. You're trying to understand another person instead of judging them. Yes, focus on the end. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing? We got to focus on a win-win situation. Absolutely. So it's shifting. So this shift doesn't mean that we erase our needs, doesn't mean we have to silence ourselves. It means we need to stop treating love as a battlefield. Love is not a battlefield. Letting go of your ego. We all talked about that last time. Vulnerable, compromise, being able to grow, all of that stuff is really what happens, especially when we're being our authentic self. Okay, so let's move on. We haven't even gotten off of the first page. Okay, focus on winning. We may still have arguments, but they do not last long. They end in resolution. There's some sort of resolution. So you need to do some brainstorming. You got to get into compromise. You got to be flexible. Those are important characteristics of somebody who needs to be who is ready for a healthy relationship. And they involve less replay of the past. We take the content of the argument as information rather than as grist for the meal of resentment. Instead of demanding that our expectations be met, we seek agreement. Now we fight, but we do not stop loving. So it's not about being submissive. It's not about being passive. It is about being assertive. It's about being assertive. It's about saying, here's some of the things that I feel like I need, and here's why, and tell me what's going on with you. It's about being assertive. Because we're fighting, we may have disagreements, but I'm not going to stop loving you. When we take each other's egos more lightly, we cease to use power over one another, but instead find ways to use power for the common good, goals of the relationship, the common goals of a relationship. He goes on to say, we're on page 222. He goes on to say, we begin to notice a humorous insubstantiality, like the no self of Buddhism. Ooh, he's bringing it back to Buddhism. In the posturing we devise in our face of conflicts, we cannot substantiate the claim that our positions are quite so non-negotiable once compassion and freedom bathe them fully. He's quoting Buddhism here. We look with mild amusement at what once seemed so enormous, and we let go of our seriousness. Finally, having recognized it as a form of pain, now pain opens in a new way and leads to compassion, change, not blame and shame. Oh my goodness. He's quoting Buddhism in here. I got to be the Buddhist. I think he's saying there's a fine line in the moment of our growth where we need to see how flimsy and unnecessary many of our defensive reactions. Sometimes we want to be defensive. We want to be right. We need to be able to see that this is hilarious. Repeat the book. Okay, the book is, you can get the book anywhere. How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Rico. And right now we are on page 222, and he is quoting Buddhism. And he's saying that in conflict, the ego wants to push us to posture. The ego wants us to exaggerate, to be tough, to cling to what's right, and to make the other person wrong. But when we look at these patterns, I think with more awareness, we realize that it's like watching, we have to be amused. Like, it's like watching a child puff and become bigger. Buddhism is teaching the idea of no self, like how we want to cling on to these identities. We want to cling to this reality, and that's really an illusion. So in the same way, conflict and posturing is not our true self, but a mask that we use to protect ourselves. Okay, so what does this mean in terms of relationships? Let's break this down. I think what they're saying is that it is because we all are experiencing some type of pain in our relationship. So I think we need to catch ourselves when we are mad at somebody, your partner, when you're in the middle of an argument and you start to realize, wait, I'm playing a script right now. There can still be, you can still look at some of the challenges that you have in your relationships. You don't have to look at it so seriously, like it's life and death. He's saying to loosen this grip, let go of this defensiveness, and let compassion come back in your relationship. So when you're in, you might notice when you're in a relationship and you are in an argument and you could be saying, how come you don't listen to me? You don't ever listen to me, and you could recognize that this is just a script that you're reading. It's based in the past. So instead of fueling the fire and making these statements, you can start to think to yourself, wait a minute, here I go again. I'm sitting here causing tension in my relationships by pointing fingers. I need to stop myself in the middle of that and try to join with my partner and try to make light of everything. Sometimes you get into couples conflicts and it can seem so heavy. So what he's saying here, I think, is just to stop taking everything so seriously. I think is what he's saying. And we're just spending too much time posturing. Yeah, sometimes you can agree to disagree, but really you can agree to disagree, but still learn something about your partner, Renee. Rena, that's Rena. We can learn something about your partner. Like, I don't agree with anything that you're saying, but I'm real curious about what are you thinking? What's going on? You can start to become curious instead of pointing the finger and making your partner wrong. That's what he's saying. Okay. Yes, yes. Hey, everybody, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Oh, I do see a question. Somebody has a question. Okay, someone is saying, my friend for 25 years asked me if I thought about being us. Wait, thought about being us being married. Okay, so you have this friend. Someone has a question. He has a friend of 25 years. That's a long time, 2 decades, over 2 decades long. Now they're going to bring up being married. He said he has been thinking about it a lot lately. What does this mean? Is he going to propose to me? We have never been in a committed relationship instead of more than friend. Okay, so you're in a friend with benefit situation? Great question. This is interesting. So after 25 years, he is now wanting to take the relationship to another level. Are you scared? How do you feel about this? Are you feeling nervous about this? What if he proposes to you? What is going on? You need to start asking questions. So whoever wrote this, I have follow-up questions for you. Do you love this man? 25 years, y'all not spring chickens. So what is it about him? Or what is it about you? Or what's going on with him that's making him want to take this relationship a little further? I think you got a lot of serious questions to ask your particular friend. How am I funny? Somebody wants to take it another level. He's trying to push a commitment. Who knows? This is exciting. That means that for a man to have that conversation with you means that out of all the women he could be with, he is only thinking about you. I don't know. That can be flattering, but you're going to have to figure out. This is a long time to be a friend with benefits. Who is the scared one? Yeah, maybe. I would ask a lot of questions. How long have you felt this way about me? And what's going on? The tone of voice. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? This is interesting. I'm curious about how this would be. If I was in that situation, I would ask a whole lot of questions like, are you feeling like you want closeness all of a sudden? You want to take it to another level? What is that going to look like? How's that going to seem? I mean, being married to somebody is a commitment. And so you have to be ready. Why after 25 years of friendship? Yeah, what's going on, Rena? I'd be asking that question too. And the biggest question I'd be asking, I would ask is myself, what am I ready for? What am I willing to give? Are you willing to give the 5 A's? How comfortable do you feel receiving the 5 A's? Attention, acceptance, affection, allowance, and what's the other one? Attention and appreciation. You know, are you in a position where you're able to freely give that back and forth to each other in a committed relationship? That is fascinating. He's ready to take it to another level. Men, my mom used to tell me that testosterone takes over and a man has to give. Yeah. So caregiver. Oh, y'all are thinking maybe he needs a caregiver. He needs somebody to make his sandwiches. He needs somebody to take care of him. Does he have a terminal illness? I hope not. I hope it's more altruistic than that. Oh my God. I'm trying to think of the positive thing to do. Anyway, that's fascinating. Keep us posted. Ask a lot of questions. Be curious and listen. Open your ears up. Don't try to interrupt him. If a man to start revealing what's in his heart and you're trying to find out what's going on, I would ask a whole lot of questions and take a lot of notes. If I were you, I'd be like, what's your intention? So, all right. Oh, look at this. Someone did a summary. That's kind of awesome. Oh, is it a summary of the book? I think that's great. If you have a summary of the book in here. Aha. Takeaways from the meeting. I love this. Who is this? I can't even pronounce it. Ngadi. Ngadi. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ngadi. Writing down things in the meeting. Let's see. We have another question. Got good questions here. Okay. Can you speak on the balance, by the way, self-abandonment when trust has been violated and not making a big deal over things? Self-abandonment. Oh, when trust has been violated. Oh, you know, I think that's the hardest thing. First of all, it is very difficult to establish and maintain trust in a relationship. So it's tough enough to kind of build that up in a committed relationship. And when you put your trust in somebody and they violate that trust, it's going to be even more difficult for you to be able to trust that person again. So, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of energy. And no, you should not abandon who and what you are when someone has violated that trust. That means they weren't committed in that relationship to the extent that you were. Now your eyes have been opened. It's interesting when you're in a relationship with somebody and they do major trust violations. Yes, Karen, like a betrayal. You can now see what that person is now capable of. I now see what you're capable of. So you can't see that person in that relationship in a new light. Now, when we talk about betrayal, because I do work with a lot of couples who are healing from betrayal. And what I find is that your ex-wife betrayed you. Yeah. What I find is betraying somebody in a relationship means that there were grievances that person had, the person who was unfaithful. Let's just say the unfaithful partner in a relationship had grievances about the relationship that they never vocalized. Never, ever, ever vocalized. So, or maybe they tried to vocalize their grievances in the relationship and it wasn't heard. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that relationships end because of betrayal, but that's the hard reason why relationships end. Chances are, and who is this? Tyson? Tyson, thank you for disclosing that your ex-wife betrayed you. The thing is that the question to ask, and I don't know how much processing you did before she became your ex, but there was something that your wife needed in the relationship that they did not get in the relationship. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons why somebody would betray someone's trust, but I find that to be one of the major reasons. She had grievances, Tyson. So what happened when she aired her grievance? Did you listen to it? Did you give her the 5 A's? What happened? Not to say that it's anybody's fault, but what I'm saying is that sometimes the hurt partner in a relationship is still somewhat accountable for making sure maybe she felt betrayed in other ways. Maybe she felt safe, or him, because sometimes men do cheat in relationships. And I always challenge men, like, what happened? You cheated in this relationship. How come there must have been something lacking in your current relationship that made you look outside of the relationship? So her grievances were unreasonable. Maybe it's unreasonable to you, Tyson, but to her, I'm certain it made perfect sense. I'm certain too, if we had her here and she was to talk about it, I'm certain that she probably was like, it made perfect sense. It was reasonable to me. And maybe she was just tired of talking to you about it and decided to go outside the relationship, or to be unfaithful, or to be disloyal, or to betray you in some way. And I'm gonna just tell you one thing, like, betrayal really hurts. I mean, it's really, really painful. So I don't want to give an excuse. There's no excuse for hurting another person in a relationship. I'm more interested in deconstructing some of that and trying to find out how and why, what needs were not being met in that relationship. That's a signal to me that some couples aren't having the conversations that they need to have. So that's how I would in order to rebuild trust. Okay, now we're getting into trusting somebody. Okay, to rebuild trust in a relationship, it's a multi-steps, but think about it. If someone betrays you in a relationship and you decide to stay with them, you're recommitting yourself to each other. What happens? In the back of your mind, you're thinking, is this person going to do it again? You're like, can I trust this person again? Or is this person going to continue to betray my trust? So how you can figure this out is to think about, does this person talk to me open and honest, transparent? So people who are transparent aren't likely to cheat. So are they somebody who doesn't air their grievances? Or when they do air their grievances, are you the kind of person to ignore them? Do you diminish their grievances? Do you put them down in some way? Do you tell them there's something wrong with them, try to shame them because they have these needs and wants? So you have to, in healthy relationships where you want to affair-proof your relationship, make sure you're in a relationship where everybody feels comfortable talking about how they feel and are comfortable airing grievances. So that's one of many of the things, but that's off onto another topic. But I really do think, affairs happen when somebody is just feeling like their current relationship is lacking in some way. So try to get into it. Okay, let's see what the comments are. It is reasonable to remarry a woman who cheated with multiple men. Is it reasonable to remarry a woman who cheated with multiple men? Absolutely, Tyson. I feel like you can. I feel like you need to assess. You need to assess what's going on, but it is possible. Maybe that person has an explanation for that. Like, I'm curious about what they say. I really do think it's possible, Tyson. I think it's possible. I think you should probably maybe get some counseling to try to dig down and try to figure out why this person has a habit of being unfaithful. But I think it is possible. On a construction, went off with her addicted first lover. Oh my goodness. Boy, oh boy. Yes, Tyson, for real, I think it is. Communication is key, but it's also, making your partner, building an atmosphere where your partner feels comfortable talking about what's on their mind. I think that is so important. Yeah, so you weren't, so Tyson is saying that you were very faithful to her, for the record. So it wasn't like she was getting back at you, but I am certain that maybe she felt hurt in some other ways. So it's a terrible thing for somebody to go through, but I have seen couples, by the way, get through infidelity, and on the other side of infidelity, their relationship is more stronger than it ever was before. So sometimes a betrayal or an affair can bring to light some of the issues happening within the relationship that was never addressed. And it's a perfect opportunity to address the situation and to end up growing a lot closer together. So it's not the end of the road all the time. Just because your partner cheats on you, it's not the end of the road. It could be an opportunity of growth, but it's going to take dedication from the unfaithful partner and from the hurt partner. Okay. All right. So it's going to take you rededicating yourself to each other. This is interesting. We're getting into being unfaithful here when it comes to commitment, because clearly that person wasn't committed to you. You want to book a session with me? Go to coachingwithdralicia.com. I'll put my website in here, if I can spell. Coaching with dralicia.com. Lord, can I put it in there? Go, did I spell it correctly? Because I know I be not spelling stuff. Go to coachingwithdralicia.com, put in, reach out to me. And if you're dealing with anything like that, I mean, that's a very painful thing. Being in a relationship where you put your trust in another person and you're cruising along the relationship, everything's fine and dandy, and then boom, all of a sudden you find out that your partner, unbeknownst to you, did something where they betrayed your trust. It is startling experience. Like, it instantly, in an instant, you go from happy and being comfortable, instantly you go into a state of shock where you're like, what the heck is happening here? And it is very disorienting and very, very upsetting for someone to have their trust violated. And it is a good point to talk to a professional about how to heal, and you can overcome it. I have hope. I mean, I've worked with couples and they have overcome it and they have grown in a lot of ways. So it's not necessarily the end of the road if two people can commit to being with each other. Anyway, so I just want to say hello to everybody. How y'all doing? I don't see any. Let me see how everyone is doing in YouTube. How everybody's doing in YouTube world. Let me say hello to everybody in YouTube. How are you doing? I'm going to put some information in the chat. There's my inner circle. You can join that. And then if you can get discount codes to join my inner circle. You get the recordings, you get to talk, you get to have a voice when it comes to picking our next book. And so you can put in mindful, and let me see what let me look it up. The other, I should write them down. I gotta go look it up. It is mindful for your first free month, for the first month free, and growth. Mindful, and then you can put in growth. You can put that in for a discount of $20 off. And so that's for everybody who's interested in joining the inner circle. You can do that. You can have access to the recordings. We are reading from How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Rico, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. That's what we're doing today. And I am talking about, we are reading chapter 8, and we are finishing up the first part of today, which is our commitment and how it deepens. I don't know how y'all felt, but I did not expect that the chapter on commitment would start out talking about us and our own journey and how to have a commitment to giving love to others. I was not suspecting that. I was thinking what commitment means, but it really talks about how we are going to commit to other people and what we're going to do. So anyway, let's read on. We are going to be talking about, we're on page 222, and we're going to read on to the next section, which is once we realize, okay, we talked about Buddha. Let me see. We look with mild amusement at what once seemed so enormous, and we let go of our seriousness. So don't take your problem so serious. Be amused by some of the dynamics in your relationships. Don't take it so serious. Finally, having recognized it is a form of pain, now pain opens in a new way and leads to compassion and change, not blame and shame. Okay, so once we realize that we are capable of anything that humans do, we are not so threatened by the hurtful behavior of others, and compassion flourishes. One thing that we talked about in that chapter on ego was not to take it personal. If somebody does something to you and they're offensive and they do stuff out of line, not to take it personal, because it's the ego operating. So we talked about that, all the different types of egos, not to take it personal. Compassion, there was somebody treats you in a certain way and you know that it's ego, because ego responding in that way is underneath it is a deep sense of insecurity. We talked about that in the last chapter, a deep sense of insecurity, that our job as mindful lovers, we're going to be mindful. We're going to see through that and we're going to respond to that with compassion. Even by saying, wow, your words are really hurtful. You know, we can bring awareness to what someone is doing that's unhealthy. That's a mindful response. Reacting to people, that's not mindful at all. That is really digging into the ego. But instead, taking a step back, seeing it objectively and being like, wow, that was a hurtful behavior. It's not going to hurt me because I don't give you that permission to hurt me. People only hurt you when you give them permission. Y'all got it? Okay, you got to get this, got to get this. In an intimate adult commitment, is based on informed consent. I know the architecture of your ego and the unlit corners of your shadow, and I commit myself to you with my eyes wide open. Wow, that's saying, I'm going to commit myself to you. I see your limitations. I see that you're not perfect, but I'm going to commit to you anyway. I love you anyway. That is awesome. My eyes are wide open to the fact that you are not perfect and that this relationship is not perfect, but I'm going to commit myself to you. Flaws and all. The territoriality and competitiveness of ego are loosening in me. So territory, that's like being possessive with someone. You don't need to be possessive with someone. You don't have to be possessive, and you don't have to be competitive with your partner. Of ego are loosening in me. So you're getting rid of the ego. Before, I wanted to possess you to gratify my ego. Now I dispossess myself of ego to strengthen our relationship. This compelling force of romance gives way to impelling choice of real engagement. This is the time for marriage. Hello. What are we talking about? We just had a question. Your friend of 26 years asked you about marriage. So what is he saying? He's saying, Hello, person who put the question in. He's saying, I see you. I've gotten to know you. You're my friend. I see your positive qualities. I see your flaws, but I am gonna make a commitment to you. That's real love. That's the man that loves you. That's a man that loves you. That's what that's saying. This is the time for marriage. Because remember, commitment when times are wonderful is not really commitment. You have to love somebody deeply. So, what he's saying is that there has to be an informed consent. So, this is why when I do premarital coaching, so I do work with couples before they get married, I try to have them flesh all of it out because it's nothing like getting married to somebody and then learning about who they are because they hid from you. So that's not an informed consent. So informed consent, that means when you commit to somebody, it's not blind commitment. And an intimate adult commitment is not blind. It is made with, what do you say? Informed consent. That means saying yes to another person because you know them deeply. You know their strengths. You know their childhood wounds. You know the hidden parts of their selves that they don't want anyone to know. You know how their ego plays. You know who and what they are. And we have to be willing to see how our own ego operates. Are we possessive? Are we competitive? Because in mature relationships, we no longer cling to our partner as a trophy of our ego. I'm not being anybody's trophy wife. No. Yeah, I'm not going to be with somebody because of a status. No, I want to see who and what they are first. So we gradually dispossess ourselves of ego. That's what he's saying in here. That means we have to let go of wanting to control another person. We have to let go of wanting to dominate. And that's how we have healthy relationships. So it's shifting from this real engagement. And he mentions romance because romance is what happens at the beginning. So we talked about romance. Y'all, what chapter did they talk about romance? Chapter, I can, wait, what chapter was it when we talk about romance? Because that is very important. I feel like it was chapter 4. I'm gonna find this. Yes, chapter 4 is about high romance. Y'all get the recordings and look at chapter 4 because chapter 4 really breaks it down about how romance is beautiful, but it thrives on what? What does the romance stage of a relationship does what? It's a fantasy. And it's interesting because a lot of people get married and they're still in the romance phase of their relationship. You don't even know that person. It's a fantasy of that person. You're projecting in a romantic part of a relationship. Y'all know the beginning stage of a relationship when you're falling in love and everything is going so great and you just love everything about that man. You loving everything about that lady. It's not the real person. It's a fantasy. You're just projecting all of the qualities that you love. You're just projecting it on that person. And you're just being intoxicated by romance because somebody likes me and I like them and you're excited to hear from them. That's a normal stage of a relationship, but it's not true commitment. True commitment asks more. Are you going to stay with this person when it's not so romantic? Not necessarily the stage of a relationship when you get swept away by feelings. It's about choosing every single day to show up in your relationships with your eyes wide open, knowing full well what you're dealing with. Yes, y'all got to get this. Okay, it's not, you know, that person. Sacred partnerships is rooted in presence, It's rooted in being honest with that person. And that's how you grow in a relationship. So get out of the fantasy world of the romantic stage. It's a necessary stage, but do know that you will get to the conflict stage. Anyway, so let's move on. We got to get through this. We're already, oh my gosh, we've been doing this for a while. Let me get through this. Where are we? Okay, so we got a couple of paragraphs left. Let's get through this. Partners now accept each other as perfect. The true commitment phase of a relationship, when you see that your partner has flaws, when you see your partner's flaws, you see the shadow of your partner, you see the positive and the negative qualities, that's when you see your partner as perfect. The only way an old shirt is perfect, the same way, but only the way an old shirt is perfect. Real love looks different in each phase of a relationship. Although an oak looks different in spring, summer, fall, and winter, it's always an oak. Yeah, I like that. We give the 5 A's romantically in the romance phase, chapter 4. Dramatically in the conflict phase. That's chapter 5 of the book. Okay, and serenely and reliably in the commitment phase, the current chapter we're in right now. It's reliable. Y'all know what reliable means. I'm teaching research this semester. Reliable is repeatable. You're going to keep consistently. Reliable means consistent. You're going to show up for this relationship over and over again, no matter what. That's commitment. Yeah, I like this. Commitment is reliability. Okay. By the way, let me say something about reliability in research. So I'm teaching research this semester. The class starts on Monday, and I'll be teaching it online on Thursday night. Commitment. So commitment means reliability. So it's interesting when I work with students on their research projects, they can't even go into the stage of answering their research question unless there's reliability. They have to show that the measures that they've chosen are reliable. And if it's not reliable, we have to continue working with the data until everything is reliable, and you can't move on unless you have reliability. And I think that's the same in relationships. You can't have a healthy relationship if there's no commitment. And commitment means being reliable, showing up every single day, making sure that you're there for your partner, even if you don't feel like it. It's making a commitment to be with that person above and beyond everybody else, because there's always possibilities of other people to be in a relationship with, but you pick this one person. So that's what the commitment means. It means being reliable, just like a research project. You can't move forward unless you have reliable measures. I think this is what this is talking about. How to make this commitment. You have to be reliable. Okay, so so let's see what it says. We give the 5 A's romantically in the romance phase, dramatically in the conflict phase, and serenely and reliably in the commitment phase, when we also bring them to the world. The practices suggested in this book are not meant to make only my relationship better, but to make all relationships better. All relationships better. Our relationship journey thus mirrors our journey to creative human fulfillment. He's saying, he's looking at commitment as a commitment to the world. Fascinating. Our interpersonal goals become interpersonal. Our intrapersonal goals becomes interpersonal and then transpersonal. The phase of relationships takes us from an ego ideal, which is falling in love, ego ideal, through an ego and its shadow to a self that then transcends ego and embraces the universe. This is the same sequence that can happen within us, not only between us. We can discover the all-embracing circle of psychology and spirituality in the realm of relating. He's saying this is having an impact. How we treat each other in our relationships impacts between each other, impacts how I see myself. So if you are insecure here, if you have insecurities, that means that you feel like you're less than, you feel like you are not good enough, you feel like you're not worthy inside, it's going to spew out into your interpersonal relationships. And that is going to spew out into the world, into how you are, how you interact with the world. He's making the connection. As within, so without. That's a universal language. Maybe that can be our next, maybe that could be our next book club. start dissecting some of that. We can become so caught up in our own story. What's going on with us? With all its past and present conflicts, that we lose perspective when we fail to realize that Shakespeare says in Coriolanus, there is a world elsewhere. That's Shakespeare quote. When something beyond our past and our relationship absorbs and animates us, we open to new potentials in the world and in ourselves. We let go of the past to create the future. We let go of the past to create the future. Together, we engage in a social cause. We are engaging in a social cause. Oh my goodness, I am just blown away. Y'all part of the B1 community. I'm blown away by some of the things that I hear everybody talk about how they've overcome so much. Just listening to Dr. Boyce and what he's saying, how their life and how their finances look a whole way. It's a revolution. It is a revolution, I got to tell you. Oh my goodness. A social cause, family concerns, service, career, religion, and other world-changing enterprises. That's what we're on here. No transformation is entirely personal because goodness cannot help but diffuse itself. Our partnership expands to include the whole world. I think the whole world is affected by some of the good work that we are all doing. Oh my gosh. Our partnership expands to include the whole world, and we contribute to planetary evolution. Whew, this is heavy. The original goal of leaving home to start a home of one's own expansiveness to become the more general goal of making the world and home for all people. When we make a commitment to a partner, when you make, that means consistency, showing up, consistency. When we make a commitment to a partner by giving the 5 A's, attention, acceptance, affection, allowing, and appreciation. Those are the 5 A's. Okay, when we make a commitment to a partner by giving the 5 A's, we also become carriers and providers of these 5 gifts of love to the whole world. Oh my goodness. I think one of the traps of the ego is that we get so caught up into our own story, how we were hurt by what our partner did. Sometimes we get caught up into talking about how we were hurt, our need to be right, our desire to be seen. We lose perspective. We forget that our relationship is not the entire world, but is one small and sacred part of a big picture. Yeah. The Shakespeare quote, I think, is really interesting. There is a world elsewhere. I think it's saying that we need to remind ourselves that beyond our arguments that we're in, our disappointments, our projection. Hey, Alicia, we're on page 223. We haven't gone that far. 223. Beyond our disappointments and how we project onto other people things that we're uncomfortable with, life is still vast, it's still full of possibilities. So we need to loosen our grip on that. So I think that's what he's saying. Pride. A couple arguing about the dishes that haven't been done. Well, if you think about it, why would you be arguing about dishes? Dishes can wait. But it feels like a battle for respect when you're arguing about dishes. So he's trying to say, step back and remember there's a world out there elsewhere. So recognize love, laughter, shared dreams, all of those things matter. And I think what's interesting is that we began today with Huxley talking about how can I love you more? He didn't ask his wife, did you take the trash out? Did you do the dishes? Did you cook dinner? He didn't ask her all of that. He was asking her, how can I love you more? He doesn't care about dishes. When you're on your deathbed, you don't care about a sink full of dishes. And I think that that's how we need to start approaching each other. We get into these conflicts and we get into these battles back and forth when it doesn't mean anything. We need to treat our partner as if when I go to sleep at night and I wake up the next morning, I may not have you around. So this is what helps us to have connection, reconnect with ourselves and with our partner, to have this level of compassion that really matters. Because who cares about a sink full of dishes? I wish I can talk to y'all about how many couples be arguing over dishes, and I'd be like, leave the dishes. Y'all have fun with each other. Sometimes a messy house is a house full of love, So anyway, I just want to say, oh my God, that's where I'm ending. Let me see. There have been questions. Let's see if y'all have questions, put it in. Velma has a question. Velma is saying, does the author speak much about abstinence? No, he doesn't speak. The author don't speak none about abstinence. Impacts the relationship before the marriage? No, no, he doesn't talk about that. It said that men especially need that physical intimacy from sex, but the addition of the spiritual covenant with God, I find, has helped me with long distance relationship where there is a planning to the end of the list, part of the second we of September. I don't fully understand everything, Velma. You might want to reword that. But no, this book is not a biblical book. He is a licensed clinical social worker like myself, and so I think religion and the Bible is wonderful. It's a wonderful tool for learning about yourself. And it's I love to bring in religion and spirituality into my sessions, if at all possible. I love bringing that stuff in. I think it's really important to bring that in and to use that as a tool to join people together. I think the Bible has wonderful quotes, and other forms of religion. There's other religion, Christianity, Islam, all of those things are beautiful to bring into a relationship and can help grow your commitment. Now, in terms of your behavior, from where I sit, you can do as much of it as you want. I believe when it comes to relationships, I believe in self-determination. I will give you a layout on what all healthy relationships look a certain way and all toxic relationships look a certain way. And I'm equipped with articulating that, but how you apply it to your own relationship is up to you. So self-determination is always there. Some people read the Bible and they say, I want to adhere to this, and I want to make sure that I'm not engaging in intercourse or sexual intimacy before I'm married. And if that is really what's important to them, I'm able to bring that into the session and talk about how everybody feels about that. So I make sure that couples are on the same page with whatever they decide, however they decide to function in their relationships. So I use ethical practices, and that's what we do. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Alicia's talking about what page we're on. Girl, we have ended on page 223. And next time we meet, we're going to talk about what love says. I trust a lively energy in and between us. So we're going to talk about what that means next time. Let's see if there's any questions. Oh, Tyson has a question. Do you think it is a good idea to find a potential wife in Africa? I think it's a good idea to, if you want to be a good partner, I think it's a good idea to learn and to find out who and what you are. Okay, I think that you make sure that you are a good partner first before you start seeking out and looking for another person to complement you. I think you need to find out if you're a good partner. And I think that you need to get, as much as possible, become self-aware and become committed to your own growth and your own ability to look at yourself, and that's what's going to, no matter where you are, you can be in Africa, you can be in India, you can be in Asia, you can be right here in the United States of America. You're going to find a great partner when you have a good relationship with yourself and you can learn from who and what you are and let go of the ego. So it doesn't matter where you go, you are taking yourself with you. So I think that's what's important. You believe you are a good partner, then beautiful. It don't matter where you are. If you're a good partner, you could be anywhere and find a beautiful relationship. Africa and beyond, the Caribbean and beyond. There's no green grass somewhere else. The green grass is right in your own front lawn. Got it? Got it? Okay, there are some questions. What does it say? How do you trust people again? Oh, how? How do you trust people again? Who's asking that question? Goodman. Yeah, how do you trust people again? Well, once you've broken that trust, you need to talk to them about if it's deception. First of all, when there's deception, maybe you don't need to trust that person again, unless that person is willing and able to commit themselves back to the relationship again. So in order to trust that person again, they have to ask you. They have to say, I'm committed. I want to recommit myself to this relationship. I'm going to let go of whomever and have to just be able to sever the ties with the entities, or it could be any sort of betrayal, any sort of behavior that breaks the trust. That you have to get you have to get a statement from that person to say, hey, I want to recommit myself to this relationship. If they don't say that, then you shouldn't trust that person. And by the way, you shouldn't trust somebody when you first start dating them anyway. Trust has to be earned, and you have to get to know that person. So you can't trust right away. You have to kind of get to know that person better. But if they're willing to, if they say, I did a mistake, I don't want to lose you, I want to recommit myself to this relationship, then that's a good start. And so you need to start digging down and figuring out what happened that made you betray me in that way. What is it in the relationship? And they have to be willing to explore all of those things. Because in my office, I ask those questions. We're going to get down to it when they're in my office and I start working with people. Okay, so let's see if there are any other questions. Wait, you asked a question? Alri, you had a question? Let me see. What's your question, Alri? Okay, Alri has a question. Can we really expect to get a real correct answer to the question of accepting someone even when we see flaws and things that are not going well, when they are still in the romantic phase? Of course, they'll probably say yes, they're infatuated. Well, in the romantic phase, you ain't gonna see too many flaws. That's the romantic phase. In the romantic phase, all you see are things that you have in common. You'd be like, oh, look at all the things we have in common. Oh, we got so much in common. That phase lasts 6 months to 18 months. depending on how frequently the two of you are together. But usually after the 18-month phase, then you get into conflict phase where you start realizing, hey, wait a minute, this person has flaws. I saw this person as flawless when we first started dating. And of course, you want to put your best foot forward. And there's nothing wrong with putting your best foot forward when you're first dating someone, because as long as your best foot forward is a true reflection of who you are, it's who you are, but it's not everything that you are. So, you need to get to know that person a little better. And in doing that, you go through the conflict phase. And it is an inevitable phase. Everybody goes through. I know Dr. Boyce and I, we've been through our conflict phase. And on the other side of that, we know each other. We're very comfortable with each other. We know who and what we are. So that's just a reality of relationships. Okay, so another question. What if a therapist asked them that question early in a relationship? What do you mean? Early in a relationship? I don't know. What if a therapist asked them that question? I don't know. What question early in a relationship? I don't know what question. Alry, you have to give me the question. I don't know. That question. Okay, accepting someone even when we see flaws. Are you willing to, or is it infatuation? I don't know. So Alry got to ask that question again. Okay. Oh, how do you know when it's time to give up? Yeah. So, oh my gosh. You're at a crossroad. Is that what happens? Mr. John Trey is in a crossroads where you're like, dang, you're in the conflict phase. So someone asked that question, is it time to give up? Or is it time to go on? That's when someone is in conflict phase. I think the best time is write down your grievances and invite your partner, say, hey, this is normal. We are in conflict phase of our relationship. We've moved on. Now, I have a list of grievances. And you can just say, I would pick one and just say, explain this to me. And pick a grievance and say, I want to talk to you about something very important to me. Is this a good time? And seriously have a conversation, say, hey, I noticed this, and just really articulate it and say, and then it's a wonderful opportunity to share with your partner. When you're in conflict phase, a lot of times you're reacting to things that trigger you, that's reminiscent of things in the past. So you can share a story about it. You can start to think about, this is reminding me of something. This is coming up for me, and it's reminding me of some unhealed aspect of myself. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be vulnerable. So I say in conflict, if you're at this crossroad, that's the time where you need to stop, take a step back, and offer yourself up to your partner and be vulnerable with them and see how they react. Do they themselves soften, or do they go hard on you? If they go hard on you, then you need to think about whether this is healthy for you or not. Yeah, you don't want anybody going hard. You want to be able to be vulnerable. You want to be able to open up to your partner, talk about what they did or what they said that hurt you and why. And then you show that to them. So if they have to go soft on you, which means that maybe you're coming across hard. So maybe you need to soften, and maybe you need to ask them, okay, give me your grievance. What's going on? I'm here. I'm open. So have a good exchange. And I think it's this moment, this crossroad, I think is a beautiful opportunity to really deepen your love. I think it's great. I know that I brought up stuff to my husband, so he'll do and say stuff that bothers me. And I'll be like, oh my God. And I would talk to him about it. And, I find that when I approach him and I'm just trying to be as loving as possible, he responds to me in that way. So, and he makes adjustments and I make adjustments. And so we're able to listen to each other, but it's hard to do. It doesn't come easy. especially because those Black people, we got so much trauma. We be all triggered and stuff. Y'all know how we are. Y'all are something. Black people are something. But we're gonna get this, y'all. I have faith that we're gonna heal ourselves and we're gonna heal the world. I really do believe that. So anyway, as we close tonight, I want to invite you guys. Let's see, what's a good takeaway? I think we need to be generous with our love. How about that? Let's all be generous with our love. That might be the big takeaway today. I want to thank y'all for coming here today. I really appreciate you guys for joining me tonight. And I can't wait to see y'all next week. Yeah, I'll be on next week. We'll be still doing the convention, but I'll still be tuning in. I think I'll be tuning in next week. If not, I'll make sure my husband sends out a message to everybody, let you all know that we weren't, but we will continue our journey together, y'all. We're going to get this. And next week, we're going to talk a little bit about, yes, we're going to talk about what love says. That's what we're going to start. The paper copy, we're going to start on page 223. Thank you. Hey, Sharif. Hey, Ari. Hey, Rico. How you doing, Rico? What's up, Mary? What's up? So get y'all questions. These were good questions this week. I love it. I love answering questions. And from what little information I have today, I hope I've helped you guys. And of course, coachingwithdralicia.com. If you want to reach out to me, you want to make a session with me, definitely there. And I have Althea is asking for the recordings. The recordings, well, you get access to the recordings by joining the inner circle. Let me type that in there, the inner circle. So if you join the inner circle, there's the website, Dr. Alicia bookclub.com/inner circle. Then you get all the recordings. I'll be talking to my assistant tomorrow, and we'll be posting today's session onto the Inner Circle course. You have access to all of the course, the bonus materials, all of that. Don't forget to look at, hey, everybody, y'all have discount codes. Don't forget that we do have discount codes. The discount codes is mindful. Hey, the discount code is mindful. And I think the other one is wellness. Let me see. I need to write these down and I don't. Anyone has the discount codes, be sure to type them in. Oh, I know, they're on YouTube. So the discount codes are mindful and growth. Those are the two discount codes for everybody, mindful and growth. Use those discount codes. Thank you. Who is that, Alicia? Thank you, Alicia. Hey, growth and mindful. Those are discount codes that you can use to get those recordings, especially the one for today. Okay, everybody, I will see you all next week. All right, everybody.